Good evening. This is CTV News for April 18th. I'm Denise Douglas. Thank you for joining us. The nation is mourning the death of former First Lady Barbara Bush, who passed last night in her home in Houston. The Bush family matriarch was born in the borough of Queens in New York. Byron Scott has our story.
Former First Lady Barbara Bush had been in declining health for years, and over the weekend, a family spokesperson announced she would no longer seek medical treatment. Barbara Bush had the extremely rare distinction of having a son follow her husband to the White House. The only other First Lady to accomplish that was Abigail Adams. Bush was married to George H.W. Bush for 73 years and was the mother of George W. Bush. Another son, Jeb, a governor of Florida, also made a run for the White House.
I was really sorry to hear it.
Robert Woodson is founder of the Woodson Center. He met Mrs. Bush at a White House ceremony in the 1980s. This photograph shows, from left, former Housing Secretary Jack Kemp, Barbara Bush, community activist Kemi Gray, and Robert Woodson at a meeting in D.C.
She took a personal interest in some of our community work in Washington, D.C., and in fact accompanied me on a site visit to Kenilworth Parkside Public Housing resident leadership Kemi Gray. And so she spent almost 3 or 4 hours touring the daycare center and followed up with help with the daycare center. Barbara Bush, I think by coming as being the First Lady, helped to focus attention on these accomplishments. She was the matriarch, and she was the enforcer. She wasn't afraid to challenge her sons in publicly or her husband publicly. And I think she exhibited a kind of independence that one associates with a responsible leader.
The matriarch of the Bush family was 92 years old. Byron Scott, CTV News.
Barbara Bush will be laid to rest at the Bush Presidential Library in Texas on Saturday, and like Byron said, she was 92 years old. Meanwhile, CTV staffer and former Washington Post reporter Hermile Harris was acquainted with Barbara and George Bush professionally during Harris's early years as a reporter covering the senior Bush at the White House. He remembers Mrs. Bush as a powerful voice. He says she was First Lady, and she was also a visionary who did a lot of positive things for people behind the scenes.
From a personal perspective, I remember being a reporter covering the White House, and when Ronald Reagan was president, I tried to get my questions in, but I had he wasn't going to call on me, but I tried. But then when President Bush was running for office, they were very clear to say this is a different type of a president who wants to reach out to the black community. And it started at the conventions when every morning, you were trying to just work, and I got this notice from Barbara Bush, hey, Barbara Bush wants to meet with like the black reporters, have breakfast with Barbara every day. And I'm like, who's this lady? And so I realized that she was different, that she really wanted to know people. She really wanted to talk.
Thank you for that insight. Hermile, flags across the nation will fly at half staff until sunset on Saturday when Bush is scheduled to be buried. In other news, Starbucks is closing all 8,000 of its stores for an afternoon of racial bias training on May 29th. This comes after the controversy from a viral video that showed the arrest of 2 black men at one of their Philadelphia locations. The manager called police after asking them to leave because they had not purchased anything. Customers have mixed opinions about whether the training will actually do any good.
Training is not going to change their bias. Can training help them to change their behavior? Who knows?
Institute regular training. I'm not really sure what the curriculum would be, but the initial reaction and with the public not really having a whole lot of information about it, it seems more for that purpose other than to affect change.
The training is being developed with the guidance of experts like former Attorney General Eric Holder. The internet is about to make life a bit easier for seniors. They will be able to use it to get answers to their questions about medication and helping manage their health. A new initiative called Medivate Connect Senior Telepharmacy Project has been launched. Some folks at an activity center in Temple Hills had a chance to enroll and find out about it today. The program offers online support to seniors who need additional assistance with their medication management and aren't able to contact a pharmacist.
So they're going to learn how to connect online, have access to computers, and so we have our pharmacist, Dr. Keys, here, who's going to go over that process and tell them how to have access. And we're at the beautiful Camp Springs Senior Center that have one of the best senior centers we have in Prince George's County that have access to computers and other resources that will help make this program possible. We hope to be able to expand as we see the need as it grows. So this is only the beginning. What I think is a program that many other senior centers I know of in the county are doing this, but it's really bringing access to pharmaceutical care to those that don't have their program currently where they live or don't have access to a program like this.
Along with the Temple Hills location, 2 additional sites have been selected for the launch: Laurel Beltsville Senior Center and the St. Paul Resident Housing.